Hey everybody, welcome to Drive-Thru Review 161. Today I'm going to talk about Clash of Cultures. This video is going to be a little bit different than my normal deal. I've already done sort of a walkthrough-ish video of the rules and the components and things like that. In that video, I'll link to it here. I went over most of the rules in the game, and I hadn't actually played it. It was sort of an extended unboxing video where I unbox it, show you everything, and go over the rules because I had read them at that point. So I've had a chance to play it since then, and so I'm just going to go over, I'll show the pieces and stuff and talk a little bit about, more of a critical kind of review aspect, through the video, and then, well, we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll come back and you'll see my face to wrap it up, but maybe not, because I'm just going to kind of review the different aspects of the game. So if you're not familiar with the game, the rules, maybe go watch the other video. It's not that long. It's about 15 minutes. Give or take. And then if you want to get some ideas, so some of my flavor of what I liked about the game, and maybe some possible things that I didn't like. I mean, I liked the game. I'll just say that right now, but just some ideas about what I had about it, and some of the assumptions I guess I have about Civilization games. I'm a big fan of Sid Meier's Civilization. I think I'm in the minority that I like Civ 5 better than Civ 4. So now I've totally invalidated any critical insights I might have. So if you're not familiar with Civ 5 and Civ 4, there's a video game, and it seems like most people like Civ 4, and there's a few of us that hold out and like Civ 5 better. I like the combat a lot better in Civ 5. They took out a religion in Civ 5, but I think they've patched that in. I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. But they sort of streamlined a lot of things, and I like it. It plays a little bit better, and it fixes the combat as far as I'm concerned. So let me talk about this, and in comparison to possibly some other Civ games, and then I'll come back here maybe. Okay, so first possible issue or caveat with the game. There are no elephant units in the game. So there's actually only one type of army unit. Basically you have a settler unit, and then sort of a cavalry or infantry unit, and then a ship versus a naval unit. So it's basically one unit that generically is the same for everybody, but based on the technologies that you get, will be stronger over time. But there's no elephant unit, so a little bit of false advertising there. I'm kind of joking here. The cover is really cool, but and I don't actually mind it, but it does sort of lead me to believe, when you look at the box, like, ooh, cool, you can get elephants or whatever. So maybe in an expansion they'll have little elephants or something. Beefed up units that you can get out on the board. We'll see. Just a quick thing about the rules. As far as the critique of the rules, I thought the rules were actually very nice. The movement rules confused the heck out of me, and that's probably because I was playing it like you play Eclipse with the movement. I'll go into that a little bit later. But it does make sense that the way they are here, because it makes the roads technology and another technology, which I'll point out, much more important earlier in the game. But for the most part, the rules are written very well, and very clear, and not too complex of a game. And you've also got a nice index here if you want to, check for anything. I will say that indicative of how well and concise the rules are, there is a player aid that is on BoardGameGeek. Basically, one-sided sheet here. This basically is the entire game. This plus your technology boards here. Basically, all you need to know is learn and get to know these technologies, and then have a good understanding of this summary. And I will put a link to this, and you guys should go and tip him lots of Geek Gold. I just wanted to talk briefly about the board here. I've kind of just revealed some tiles. Each player is going to have a starting tile that's going to look pretty much just like this here. You're going to have one mountain, one forest, one fertile area, basically a grasslands, and one barren area like here. These barren areas are pretty much useless unless you get some tech to help you there. Players will start by putting one of their little settlements here, these little city markers there on the fertile area along with a settler. And then you're going to be sort of exploring and revealing these tiles. They're going to be face down, look like clouds, and then you're kind of showing up different areas. Some of these places, anything that has two fertile spaces on there is going to reveal a barbarian tribe. So you'll have a little settlement there that you'll place on one of those, and then a little barbarian army figure there. And one of the neat things you're going to do, you're going to be taking these settlers out and be moving around, and then you're basically going to take an action to spend them and then start a new settlement like so. And then later on you maybe will increase the size of your city. You can see I've got a fully grown city. And this has a total of 5 pieces. So you've got your settlement city, your fortress, your little university place, a temple, and then a port here. So you're going to have those. So the interesting thing is the number of pieces that you can add to a city is dictated by the number of cities you have. So if I have 3 of these, I got 3 settlements here. Each of these could have 3, including this guy here. So if I look at this guy, I could have those 2 there, and so that would be 3 pieces equal to my total of 3 cities. So if I built a 4th city, then I could add this guy here, like I could add a port. So as you grow out, that dictates how fast you can grow up. So you want to spread out, get more resources from the surrounding countryside, basically kind of funnel those maybe back into a capital city or multiple cities, and these will produce a lot more stuff for you. So, and when you move guys around, we can take a look at the terrain here a little bit. You can basically get 3 actions on your turn. You can basically take an action to advance the technology here, build something in a city, spend a settler to found a new city, or you can move stuff. So when you take a move action, you basically can move 3 different groups, 1 space. Unless you have like the roads, and if you're moving from a city, you can actually move up to 2 spaces if you spend a little bit of food. So when you do this, I can take a group from here and basically move 1 spot. And you can have a maximum of 4 of your army units in 1 spot, so there is a stacking limit, similar to Civilization 5. The interesting thing about the way the terrain is if you move into a mountain space, let's say. So let's say I did a move action, I moved this group from here to here, and I moved the ship around somewhere, and then I moved him. So that was my 3 moves inside the 1 move action. So I could take another move action and move stuff around. However, if you've entered a mountain space, you can't do any more moves for that turn. You've got to wait till the next turn to be able to do a move. And if you move into a forest, you can move again, but you can't move into a spot where there's enemy territories and do battle. And that's kind of interesting because it creates these choke points in a very simplistic way, but I think that it works as far as the terrain and the topology of the map, where you can kind of hide your cities, you know, maybe inside the mountain range or behind a forest, and add that little, not fog of war, but you know, it adds a terrain consideration to moving your troops. I really enjoy that. Now in terms of ship movement, you can basically move a ship you know, wherever you want within a contiguous range. However, if you get the navigation technology, then you can take a ship off the board here. You can see this will come out off the board, and then you can come back in on another side over here. So basically you sort of circumnavigated the globe in a sense and be able to travel off one side of the map over to another, and that's really awesome. So that's pretty much the board. You know, I like how, you know, like I said, the choke points and the different terrain. I really like the circumnavigation aspect of the ships. The real quick thing about combat, I really like this, and I don't know if this has been done in other games. It feels like it has because it's so straightforward. So when you roll dice here, you're basically going to roll 1 dice for each of your units, and possibly some other technology cards or something like that will add dice to your roll. So you're going to roll all the dice. And so in most games, maybe you would say you hit on a 5 or 6, right? Mostly I would have got 2 hits there. But in this game, you total up the pips on the dice, and you divide by 5. So here I've got, let's see, 8, 9, and then 14. So I almost actually had 3 hits here. So if I would have rolled, like, let's say a 3 here, that would have been, you know, over 15. So I would divide by 5 and got 3 hits. So that's kind of nice, because even if you roll junk, let's say I did this, so I've got 6, 8, 10, that actually would be 2 hits, not a complete washout. I really enjoy that. It makes the combat move quickly, and you know, not spend a lot of time rolling and rolling and rolling. And you know, you don't feel like you're getting totally hosed by the dice. So you basically roll all the dice allotted to you and then divide by 5, and that's it. Really great, awesome. So as I said, in the game, you basically need to know everything on this sheet here, as well as everything on this technology player board here. And there's a lot to take in, a lot to sort of figure out and kind of play around with on this technology tree. And this is really where you're going to see the replay value of the game, I think, really take shape. So you're going to get these cubes here, and as you learn technologies, you're going to mark them off. You're going to start the game with farming here and mining, so you'll be able to get food out of the Texas, and then also ore out of the mines. This is another great aspect of the game. So what you're going to do is basically, one of the actions you can do is you can take a technology advance. And to do that, you basically spend 2 food or ideas. And so ideas are sort of a nebulous resource that you're going to get through some technologies. If you ever harvest resources and you have a academy, you're going to generate an idea. You're going to get ideas just for building the academy. And then you can spend that as an action to take. So when you put this in here, let's say I wanted to take fishing here. So I would put that in there, and I would spend my 2 food. The different resources are tracked up here. So you've got, let's say you've got 4 food, which you wouldn't be able to have 4 food until you take storage here. So you've got to have storage to be able to get your food higher than 2. So I could drop this down 2, take the fishing. Now to go into each one of these categories here, you've always got to start by taking the top one of that category. So if I did, I'm in the maritime category, I've always got to take fishing first, and then after that I can take any of these that are in here. And if you look over here, the 3 government categories, democracy, autocracy, theocracy, you've got to have this technology here with the little arrow. So first I'd have to do writing, and then after that I could do philosophy. And then once I did philosophy, then I can go into start doing democracy and do voting, and then get to some of these more little advanced bonuses down here. The other interesting aspect here that I really like this part as well. So you can see there's little outlines here. So you got yellow around some and blue around some others. So whenever you take a tech that has a little highlighted area, so let's say I take sanitation here, this is a highlight of yellow. Then I'm going to move up my happiness by 1 meter here. So you've got happiness and culture here. So anytime you would go into a blue one, you'd move up the culture 1 bump like so. And you can see here there's an event, an event, an event. So I'll talk about the events a little bit later, and that might be the area of the game that I could do without in some respects, but we'll talk about that in a second. So as you move up here, you're going to trigger an event, and so that's going to cause some things to happen, possibly good or bad for your civilization, maybe bad for other people. But the other thing that's going to give you is, in addition to giving you a little boost there, you're going to be able to get some of these tokens. So you've got these happiness tokens here, which are angry on the other side, and you've got these blue culture tokens there, which you're going to be able to spend. So each player is also going to get a little reference card here, which are really well done, by the way. You got a little bank here for your happiness and your culture there, as well as a little cheat sheet. So you're going to be able to spend these to do different things. And these are going to be very key in the game as well. Maintaining your happiness level, exploiting your happiness level, and exploiting your city, maybe even driving them angry or to neutral is going to be important. And using these culture tokens is going to be really key. It's really interesting, some of the different avenues that are available to you to use this resource here. So, I mean, I can't go over all of these different technologies because there's just, I mean, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 48 different ones. Okay? All of them seem neat. I mean, all of them seem really cool. I was able to use, in a game, trade routes and currency to great effect to really sort of almost trade with other players' civilizations without them really having much to say about it unless they want to come blow up my ships or my settlers. And so there's some neat different aspects here. So like this one, mathematics, if I go here, then I can get engineering and roads for free later. So it's sort of a two-step process to get access to some of these other types of things, and they all kind of chain off each other. And then a lot of these government ones are really kind of interesting. And these, there's a lot of strategic paths to victory sort of hidden in these government approaches here. And you've also got here fishing, writing, tactics, and myths up here. Each of these is a prerequisite for a type of building in the game, and so these buildings will give you different benefits. And in the fishing, once you get fishing, you can put a port out. Now you can normally collect food from adjacent sea space, but a space that has a port next to it can choose to, instead of taking a food token here from the ocean or the lake, you can take gold, and gold can be used for any resource here. So gold is going to be quite valuable and also important for building wonders. Or you can take actually a mood token to make your people happy, because fishing is great. Everybody knows that. And so this is a way to sort of, you can kind of fish up happiness for people. So speaking of happiness, let's talk about city size again real quick. So if I've got a city of size 1, one of the actions I can do would be to harvest resources. He's size 1, I can harvest one resource basically where he is or any adjacent thing. So I could basically harvest one food, one wood, one ore. You can get food, like I said, out of the ocean. Now if I had built another city over here, let's say, and then I add this one here, now when I activate this city I can harvest 2 resources. So I could get a food and a food an ore, food and a wood, whatever I wanted to do. The thing to keep in mind is, even though I am next to 2 ore, when I do a collection action, a harvesting action, I can only ever get 1 ore. So it's just a way of keeping people from getting too much ore, because if you get really lucky, let's say you're over here and you're around a lot of mountains, ore can be pretty powerful to build some of the more advanced things in the game. So, you know, it's a way to kind of put a stopgap to that. So you can't just, you know, collect tons of ore on a turn. So again, if I added a 3rd city, now each of these can have 3 pieces in them. So I can add a new one here, add a new one like so. Now when I harvest, I can harvest 3 pieces of you know, resources from the city, because I've got 3 pieces, so I could get an ore, food, and wood. Now one action you can take is to do a civic improvement, and so that's going to cost you the number of these mood tokens equal to the size of the city. So an interesting little strategy tip here is, if you have a size city 1, you can make that city happy by taking the civic improvement action. You spend 1 mood token and then you place one there to remind yourself that it's happy. Then I can go in and add these little things here, and now because it's happy, it's considered +1 size. So for the harvesting action, for example, I can harvest 1 extra thing. So I can harvest now 4 things. Where if I had waited, or maybe I didn't have the mood tokens, I would need 3 now to spend to make this guy happy. And that also is going to apply a bonus for the amount of units you can generate. So right now, if this guy was happy, I could build 4 units, because it's 1, 2, 3 plus a little happiness bonus. Whereas if you're size 1, then I can only build 1 unit. Now remember, I said you get 3 actions in a turn. So basically we're going to have 1 turn, everybody's going to take 3 actions. Another turn, everybody's going to take 3 actions. Another turn, everybody's going to take 3 actions. Then we're going to have sort of a little status phase here in the middle, which I'll talk about. But if on my turn, during one of my 3 actions on my turn, if I activate a city twice, it's going to decrease its mood. But that can be interesting, because let's say for my turn I wanted to take the civic improvement action for my first action. So I'll spend 3 mood tokens, since now he's happy. Next action, I harvest system. So 1, 2, 3 plus the 4. That was my second action. So I've activated that city once. The civic improvement action is not considered activating the city. That is only building units, collecting resources, or increasing the size of the city. So I've done 1 action, improve it. Second action to harvest. Now I can do it again. I still get the bonus. This one goes away because I've used it, I've activated it a second time. So I can still get that 4, and then it'll decrease in happiness. So you can really kind of spend a lot of time gathering or building units and things like that. Now if you activate it a second time on a turn and it's sort of neutral here, it's not happy, then it's going to be angry. And you do not want a city to be angry if you can help it. When a city is angry, it's basically considered to be size 1. So these buildings are not here. They're still doing their effects and things, but when you go to gather or build units, then it's only basically a size 1. And it can be very difficult if you have a large angry city to get it back to neutral even, because remember, you've got to spend tokens equal to the size of the city. So that's very, very tough. So another cool aspect of the game, not only do you have to manage sort of, you know, your other armies that are kind of coming in, you got to kind of deal with them. You got to deal with gathering resources. You've also got to sort of deal with sort of the internal economics and well-being of, you know, the society that's going on in your little civilization. That's one of the aspects I really enjoyed of the Civ, the computer game and things like that. So that is a great aspect of the game, and I really enjoy how you can kind of exploit it, but you've also got to be careful about it and also watch for different other actions that will make your city angry. I mean, one thing that'll make your city angry here is this barbarian comes in, and if he gets a hit in on your city, basically, you know, damaging one of your buildings, then your city's going to go boom, immediately angry. Or if you take over somebody else's city. And so just real quick, you can advance again a technology for 2 food or ideas or even gold. Found a city, basically spend a settler out here. Activate a city, build the units, collect resources, or increase city size. And here are the different buildings here that you can put in. Each of these sort of different, different things that it's going to affect. And then you can move groups, up to 3 groups per action. Civic improvement is where you improve the happiness. And then cultural influence, which is interesting. So if I had a city over here, and my neighbor was there, and if I'm within 2 spaces, I can roll a die. On a 5 or a 6, I can take over one of his buildings, in a sense, basically remove his, and then put mine in here. Now that's not going to deactivate the building for him. He's still going to get the bonus of it. But basically, I've influenced that here. And so you can see at the end of the game, you're going to get 1 point per city piece. So this is a way to get influence and get more victory points sort of out on the board. The other neat aspect of this, and if you think about this thematically, I really enjoy this part of it, because one thing that happens when you convert somebody's piece here, this city cannot be used to exert cultural influence back on you, for example. Now, if they had another city over here, let's say yellow was, up here somewhere, and then they could exert cultural influence back on their own city to try to convert it back and sort of try to recover their culture and, kind of get rid of your sort of dastardly influence in whatever your bad religion or whatever the thing is that's coming in there. I really enjoy this aspect of the game as well. It's sort of an interesting kind of wall that's put up in a way to get some more victory points out there. Now, if you want, you can spend these culture tokens to buff up your die roll. So if I rolled a 4, for example, I could spend a culture token to turn that into a 5 and then make a successful roll that way. Again, this is another neat aspect of the game. Very simple, but also it doesn't feel too wonky or too, really unbalanced or anything. Because you've got to take time to spend those cultural tokens and build these up. But these are also very valuable in building wonders as well. Okay, speaking of wonders, that kind of leads us into the cards. So based on different technologies that players are going to take, you're going to start revealing wonder cards in the game. And these are going to have a high sort of cost here. So you can see this one costs 3 ore, 5 wood, and 3 food, but as well as 5 culture tokens. Now these are mostly gotten through advancing these technologies. Some of these other ones will give you culture tokens as a bonus, but you basically have a finite amount, so you really have to consider if you're going to save them and spend them for exerting cultural influence or building a wonder. Now, I don't know that anybody can actually get away with building 2 wonders. It probably is mathematically possible, but I don't know how likely that would be. Now, when you build these, you're going to have 5 bonus points. These are all worth 5 points. And there's going to be different wonders that come out in the game, so they're not always going to be the same set of wonders. And they're also going to give you a little bit of a benefit here. So that's the easy one here, Great Wall of China. So barbarians cannot attack any of your cities. That's pretty good. And players cannot attack your cities with fortresses. So if you've built one of the fortress buildings here, they can't attack them unless they've advanced in siegecraft. So that's a little bit of a defensive type of thing. And there's just a variety of these, and these are really cool, and I really like these. And when you build these, you get this little, standy token to put on them on the board there, and they're in the bag here, so you can see you get these little standy tokens there. I kind of wish they were plastic, but whatever. Okay, next set of cards here, the objective cards and the action cards. And these cards, everybody's going to get 1 objective card to start the game and 1 action card to start the game. And these have 2 different objectives on them, so you can complete one of these and then put it in front of you, and these are all worth 2 points. You can see that in the middle there. And most of these are going to happen basically after each turn. So we're going to go 3 sets of turns, 3 actions each, and have a status phase. During that status phase, if you've satisfied a condition here, let's see, status phase, you have more opponent city pieces under cultural influence than any other player. So we hit the status phase, you've satisfied that, you can play that, you've got those 2 points for the rest of the game. And there's just a whole variety of these, and sometimes you can do these like right after you won a battle or something. You can play these, and these are really cool, and they're one of the aspects I was most excited about, and I think that's really paid off because it's going to make the game sort of play out differently, change your strategies game to game. So you're going to start the game with 1 of these, and then every status phase, at the end of the status phase, you're going to get another one. So you're going to get more and more of these cards as the game goes along. You're also going to get 1 action card, at the start of the game, and also 1 action card in each status phase. And these are dual purpose. They have a top section here that you can basically play, usually as a free action, sort of a little bonus to your turn. A variety of things, and these are nice. I didn't feel like these were very imbalanced at all. So I thought these were really nicely done. And then there's also a bottom portion here, and these you can play in battle. So you've got to advance, though, to the tactics ability here. Now you actually can't even move your armies until you've advanced into tactics. And you can still combat. You know, if people come in and attack you, you can defend yourself. But the other thing that tactics gives you, it gives you the ability to play these cards in combat. You have to have these cards, or have that ability to be able to play these. And these are really cool. There's just a variety of them. Sometimes they'll let you like roll first before your opponent gets to roll, because normally you roll simultaneously. You know, some of them may add another dice for you to roll into your pool, different things like that. And I really like this. Basically, combat is attacker says, okay, I'm going to play a card, puts it face down. Defender says yes or no, so then you flip your cards, do the effects, and then you just roll off. So these are cool. And also, again, I didn't feel like they were imbalanced. They were nice because I like that card play, the surprising aspect. It's not just rolling dice and then getting the outcome. And you've really got a tough decision to make, because these are nice effects. They're very, you know, quality effects. You're going to want to use them, but you're also going to want to save them. So I like the tough decision aspect of that. You know, the sort of card-driven combat game. I really like this aspect. So we're doing really well at this point. So that brings us to the events here. So these are the part of the game where I maybe have a little bit of equivocation about how much I like these. And these are probably the trash in the Ameritrash part of this game. And I mean that in a good way, because this is sort of the thematic and chromatic and, you know, just kind of screw you kind of stuff that can happen here. Like you've got plague, civil war, there's earthquakes and different things in here that are going to happen. The thing that I really love about these cards, though, are these little icons here. Not all of them have them, but most of them are going to activate barbarians that are within your vicinity, or have you add barbarians. And they may wipe out a resource on the board to kind of screw you that way. But the thing that is interesting about these, and the way these are work, is if you go back here, you're going to hit these events here. Now these, you're going to dictate when these happen, because as you build up these different technologies, you're going to advance your happiness or your culture marker. And every time either one of those hits one of the events, you're going to flip the event, see what happens. So as your civilization is growing, you're getting more capabilities, you're kind of getting a little bit more chaotic. This kind of thing is going to come into play, and you're going to sort of not reap the benefits of what you're sowing, because you're going to get that anyway through the gameplay, but you're going to get the side effects of what you're doing here. Your civilization is going into the environment. Things are going to happen. Your city's getting bigger. Your plagues may happen. Things like that. I really like that. But it's also going to activate the barbarians, and that keeps the game very tense even from the beginning. You don't want to advance too quickly, because you may get the barbarians very aggro at you, and so you want to sort of be prepared. So it lets you sort of build up methodically and smartly at the beginning of the game, or these barbarians are going to jack you up. And there are a lot of positive events in here. Now, I think I initially said in my last video, oh, it looks like most of them are positive. Actually, no. That's not the case. So a lot of these can be negative, and they can be negative for other people as well. So if this is one, there's a variant, you can play without these if you want. I would say another possible variant would be to play with just the icons of them, or maybe just take out, I don't know, all of them without the barbarian ones in there or something. So there's some, to your liking, you can manipulate this deck here and see how you like it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that sort of walkthrough overview aspect. I did decide to come back here. I just wanted to make a comment quickly about, the sort of the thread of the theme going through the game. I really like the sort of cost benefit, sort of analysis that you have to do. So, like with the action cards, with the objective cards, you've got the two different objectives. You're not going to be playing a lot of those earlier in the game. They're meant to sort of start happening maybe round 4, 3, 4, and then in the last round you could play like a bunch of them if you wanted to really sort of had a hidden condition, but it's not super swingy, because they are sort of encouraging you to do the things that you should be doing anyway, and they're not surprising. It's like, it's like, okay, if you've built one city or 4 cities each, one space apart, and there's no cities around them. I mean, you should be doing that anyway. You can, building and getting more resources. So if you're able to maintain certain states on the board that, certain characteristics of your civilization, you're gonna get some bonus points. The combat is awesome. The combat's straightforward. It's got the cards in there to add that sort of tension of surprise and card play. And the dice rolling is very streamlined and just awesome way to do that. The wonders are nice. They're very expensive to build. I think I have a goal in mind that next time I play it, I'm going to try to build 2 wonders. Hopefully nobody in my gaming group's watching. So they don't go, oh, we'll stop that. But I think that, I don't know if it's possible. I kind of doubt that, and be able to do everything else. And so, like I said, with the culture tokens, you have to sort of weigh, do you want to save those for the wonder, or keep those in mind for combating cultural influencers or getting your own cultural influence out there. The ships are neat. I didn't talk a lot about the ships. You can transport units with that. I like the rules for that. Like I said, the transport or the trading shipping lines or whatever it's called, and the currency, that's a neat way to sort of, you can kind of generate income from an economic, not just it's not just pure mining and resource gathering. You've got some shipping routes and things like that you can do with your ships and your settlers, stuff like that. So those technology things are just just awesome. So before I keep going on too much about how great this thing is, now one thing that's interesting to me with the my expectations of a Civ game, just from let's take a step back here, is it's interesting because it's basically antiquity here up until not even industrial time. Now one thing I really enjoy about the Civ video game is you start Stone Age or whatever into like the future almost. You've got if you go into space, you win Civ 5 and Civ 4, I think. So this doesn't have that. It kind of stops, basically in antiquity. But I don't know that you could have a game this solid, and that game is very solid across the board mechanically. As much as I gripe about the events, those are still, they make sense. I don't hate them. I don't think I would take them out. I think I'm more mentioning that part of it anyway for people that it would frustrate them. I mean, it's frustrating. You get a plague and oh, well, cool, I have to destroy a city. That sucks. But it's with a Civ game, I kind of expect things like that. That's part of the deal. But so if they were to sort of advance this and take this into industrial, internet age, space age, whatever kind of stuff, I don't know that it would be as good as it is. I don't know that you could have another set of technologies along the bottom that you had to get to. I don't know that, because one of the problems when you advance into those future ages is you get really swanky combat, and you're like, I've got sending in my F-14s on your chariots, or whatever. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'd like to see them try that with an expansion, because that is something that I miss and that I really enjoy about the epic sweep of that. This still has, it doesn't have quite that epic sweep of it. It's kind of epic, but when you put it under that lens of basically time as human civilization as we've known it so far, it doesn't have that. So that's the one aspect that's, I wouldn't say it's disappointing, because after playing the game, it's like, oh, well, okay, maybe they can have this. I could see them coming out with some components for the wonders are kind of chintzy compared to the nice plastic of everything else. But again, that's a quibble. Everything else is really cool. I like the happiness tokens and the clear iconography, the rules, the different plastic pieces. The player boards are actually very cool. I mean, there's 48 different technologies on there, but they all make sense. They're thematic. Like the roads, they get you get your guys moving out quicker. Yeah. So anyway, that's the game, and it's something that it's interesting because it's got a lot of things that would not be in my perfect ideal Civ game. There's no super technology into the future, and the events are kind of but I think you can't really, I don't know that you could really Euro-fy the crap out of a Civ game. I think you'd be messing it up. I don't think you could do, let's say, well, you couldn't do Kalis, the Civ game, or Puerto Rico. It doesn't work. You've got to have these, you know, random factors, the combat and everything. But I think what they've done here really excels, and I like this better than Through the Ages, and I think I like it better than Sid Meier's, which are games that I hadn't really given a full shot, but because I didn't really like them that much. But this one is one that's gonna stay in the collection. My gaming group really enjoyed it, you know, and it's sort of right. I really enjoy Eclipse, for example, but I think this one I would rather play this than Eclipse. Eclipse is kind of a Civ game in space because it's a little bit more controlled. You know, the randomness is it is less in this game. It makes a little bit more thematic sense in this game. I still really like Eclipse. I mean, I can't wait to play that again. But yeah, so there's sort of, you know, some things to think about there as far as you know, what a Civ game is and whatever. So I would say check it out if you like Civ, if any Civ inkling at all. This to me is the no-brainer. Go get this one because it's not as crazy as Through the Ages with all this stuff going on, and it's not going to make your brain hurt and take 10 hours. This one you can get this done quickly, and you know, and it's streamlined. It gives you that sort of that flavor of it, and it's just, you know, it's missing those other things. So if you're expecting that, you know, the things that I mentioned, then they're not there. But anyway, so Clash of Cultures Part 2. Thanks.